Right, putting the answers up now for the ones on the left and the ones on the right if you want to check them. But today we are going to go through percentages. So these are a couple of the different types of questions that you can get. You just went through a few of the increase and decrease percentages, like what do you multiply by to get an answer. We're going to look at some reverse percentage problems, percentage relationship chain. So when it might say something like 11% of A and it's 25% of B, something like that. It'll be a little bit complicated. Compound percentage changes, so that's when you have multiple and then fractions to percentages, or where you have to work something out first to be able to do the question. So we're going to take a look at these questions. I want you to have a look at them. I think hopefully the majority of you would be okay. But if you want any explaining, just let me know. So the way we're going to do this session is we're going to look at a couple of questions that I feel if you've just done your Nat 5 or you've done hires, you'd be able to access them. And then we're going to take a look at some actual previous SATs questions later on in the session. So about halfway through the session, we'll start looking at some previous SATs questions and focusing on them, because I feel like the wording in the SATs questions are a little bit different. Okay, so you can start on these. Just check, and if you want, you can use a calculator. I will give you 5 minutes, and I'll go through each question 1 minute at a time. Okay, for this first one, it says an empty sandpit weighs 6 kilos. The weight of the sandpit increases to 50 kilos when it's filled with sand. So they're just giving you some information about a general sandpit here. A different sandpit is 14% heavier but holds 22% less sand. So if we take a look at the empty sandpit, and it's going to be 14% heavier, we're going to start off with 6, and then we're going to multiply that by 1.14. 1 add 0.14 gives you 1.14, but it holds 22% less sand. So the next step that we need to do is we're adding on the weight of the sand, but it's going to be 22% less. So the amount of sand that can fit in is 44, because we've got 50 take away 6 to get the 44. And because it's 22% less, we're doing 1 minus 0.22, which would be 0.78. So 44 times 0.78. That would give you your answer. Just give me a Y if you got that one. Cool. Next one, this is a compound percentage change. So it's going to decrease and then increase. So we're doing, because it's a decrease, it's going to be 1 times by 0.9. And then we're going to multiply it by 1.1. And we'll see what that gives us. So that's 0.99. And that would be a 1% reduction, 1% decrease. Number 9, quite similar. Start off with 1.1 because it's a 10% pay rise. Then it's another 10% pay rise. So we're timesing it again by 1.1, which would be 1.21. She's thought that you just add these two percentages together and it would be a 20% increase, but it's actually a 21% increase. The last one, we've got the wood costs more, so it's going to be 1.3, and he needs 40% more. So we're going to times that by 1.4. is 1.82, or an 82% increase in his original estimate. So just a few simple questions just to get you started. Just type in, if there's any questions that you want me to explain, just type the number in the chat and I'll go through it again. Okay. Okay, we're looking at reverse percentages now. I'll go through the first question just in case you just want refreshing on this topic. You might have not seen it in a while. It says, in a sale, a shop reduces all of its price by 10%. On the last day of the sale, the shop reduces the sale price by 20%. On the last day of the sale, a mobile phone costs £432. So we need to think, what percentage is that? Let's just say the original price was X and it's been reduced by 10%, so it's 0.9, and then it's reduced by another 20%, so we're multiplying that by 0.8, and that's going to give us 432. So we've got 0.72x is equal to 432. Solve this, we just need to divide by 0.72, so 432 over 0.72, which is 600. And obviously you can check this. If I reduce this by 10% and then I reduce it by a further 20%, it should give me 432. So that's just a quick example. Just type in Y if that makes sense, and if you're happy to go into the questions, or if you want me to do another example, just tell me. Okay, you can have a go at the questions on the right. Feel free to use a calculator. Some of you might not know the percentage change formula. You might need it for some of these questions. So percentage change is just the change minus the original, the change over the original multiplied by 100. Put the answer for 2 and 3. 3, you can't have part of a person, so that's why that person is wrong. In the chat, just put in what question you're on. 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, or how many questions have you done? Thanks, Ben. I think 4 is quite nice, testing you on your ratio as well. For number 4, I'd first look at this ratio. So I know I've got Gerard to Martin, 12 to 7. And Martin has now got 21,000. So that's been times by 3,000. Gerard's got 36,000. And then you can start working out Gerard's pay before the pay rise. So that would be 36,000 divided by 1.25. Which is 28.8. Okay, one more minute left on these. Okay, question number 5. If the hat costs £10 and he makes 200% profit on it, that means he's selling it at £30 because he's making, if I do 10 times 2, I get 20. That's the amount of profit that he's making on the hat. So the total selling price of the hat would be 30. So that's telling you that the coat was sold for £60. Can then find out the total original cost, because we know the total sale price is 90. If we divide that by 1.8, that'll tell us what they both cost originally. So they both cost in total 50, and we know the hat was 10, so that means the hat was 10 and the coat was 40. So the coat went from 40 to 60, so you just need to figure out the percentage change in that. So that's where you could use this formula. So the change, 60 take away 40 is 20. The original would be 60, and then times by 100, that'd be a third, so it's going to be 33.3 recurring percent. Oh wait, hold on. The change is 20 and the original was 40, so it's a half. I should have put 60. 60 is at the original, so that's why it's a half, so it's 50%. Just have a look at the answers for the rest of them. If you want me to go through any of them, just let me know. Okay, we're gonna start looking at some previous SAT questions. So what I've done is I've pulled out a worksheet. It's similar to a worksheet that I'm going to be giving you next time. It basically contains a bunch of past paper questions from, this one specifically is on percentages, but I'm going to be giving you guys a set of questions like this to do for homework next time. It'll be on a different topic. I think some of the questions you'll be able to do, some of them you might find a little bit tricky, but then after you've completed them, you'll be able to fill in a form, and then that'll just tell me which ones that I need to go through in the next lesson. So it won't be on this, when I set you the homework, it won't be on this topic, it'll be on a different topic, and then we can look at that next lesson. Just give me a second, and all right. Just start off with a simple one. Once you've got the answer, just type in Y, and then we'll press which letter we think it is at the same time. Okay, thanks, Robbie. Robbie's first. Robbie, whilst you're waiting, you can have a look. If you were multiplying, if you were finding 3%, sorry, if you were decreasing by this amount, the 3.5 or the 35% or the 6.5%, what would you be multiplying by? So you can think about that whilst you're waiting. Give everyone 20 more seconds. Okay, start typing in the letters which you think it is. So A, B, C, or D. Don't press enter. Press enter at the same time so we see who gets it right or not. I think here there's one that's meant to trip you up, and there's one correct answer. The other two are a little bit obvious that it's not that one. Okay, everyone press enter. What letter do you think it is? Yeah, very good. Be 1 minus 0.65 would give you 0.35, so yeah, it'd be D. That's just a quite simple one. We won't do any of those now. This one's a little bit trickier. Have a read of it. What I would recommend you doing is making a little note of what's going on. So I can see I've got parents, students, and I've got teachers. So maybe you want to lay out your working out like that. Might be a little bit helpful. I'll give you 2 minutes on this one. I'm just going to start making some notes. Okay, so I've got 15% that are parents, 45% that are teachers, and 25% that are school and district admins. I'll just write A for them. That's 25%. I could find out what the other percentage would be: 40, 60, 70, that'd be 85. So that would be 15% for the students. We know that the students are, the 15% is equal to 6 students. So now we could find out, and probably find out what 5% is, and then just scale it up. So 5% is going to be equal to 2 people. So now I can work these out. 15% will be again the same as 6. I need to times 9 by 2, so I get 18. I need to times 5 by 2, so I get 10. Now I can look at the last bit. It says, how many more teachers were invited to join the committee? So I'm looking at teachers, then school and district administrators. School and district administrators. Okay. You can put in your answers in the chat. I won't tell you where it is yet. Go off based on your working out, not based off my working out. Just so I know how people are doing. You can press enter when you're ready. Oh, Jack, I didn't see you got the previous one incorrect. So if you were multiplying by 0.35, there's 2 things that could be happening. Could be finding 35%, or it's a decrease of 65%. How are people doing with this question? Anyone got an answer? Okay, I'll tell you the answer. I don't feel like anyone's got it so far. The last bit, it says how many, actually before I give the answer, just tell me, just put in a Y if what I did so far makes sense. Just type in Y if that makes sense. Okay, so how many more teachers were invited to join the committee than school and district? All we need to do is compare teachers with the administrators. So it's 18 minus 10, which is 8. So I'd say with a question like this, you just want to identify who your key players are. I had parents, teachers, admin, and students. Just write out what percentages they are, and then you want to find out what all of them are. I wouldn't even worry about this last bit because it might not make sense to you before you've done all of this. Then once you've done that, just look at that last bit and then you figure out what you need to do. Normally with these, you just need to kind of clear up the information so that you can see it more clearly, because that first bit is kind of irrelevant. The only bit that's important is from there to there. You can work with that bit and then you can work out the answer to that. Okay, I'll give you guys a slightly easier one. I think we've seen some questions like it today, but we haven't seen a question like it from a SAT. So let's see how you guys do. Okay, that is the next question. Give you 1 minute. If you've got an answer, just type in Y and I'll give you another question. If you've got an answer to number 1, just type in 1. Then I know when to give you the explanation for it. Okay, if you're on 2, I don't feel like a lot of students get taught this. I don't think it's very common in Scotland to get taught this. But I would recommend trying to create some expressions or some equations with A, B, and C, and then that might help you get a little bit closer to the answer. Question 1, I'll put the answer up in a second. Okay, so overall 110 original items in the sample. Where I did it slightly different, I could have just done 88 divided by 0.8, but you could just do this mental method as well. That also works. Question 2, like I said, try and make some expressions. I'll put them up in a second. I think the tricky bit here is the wording. And if you've got an answer, you can put in what letter you think it is in the chat. You can do it whenever you've done, if you manage to get it done. Right, let's take a look at this one. It says the positive number A is 2,241% of the sum of the positive numbers B and C. So let's just take the positive numbers B and C, the sum of them. So I'm going to do B plus C. I'm going to put that in brackets because it says A is 2,241% of that. So I need to multiply this, not by 2241, divide that by 100, so it'd be 22.41. So that'd be 22.41 times the sum of B and C is equal to A. So that's that bit done. Then it says B is 83% of C. So this one's a little bit easier. It's just going to be 0.83 times by C. What percent of B is A? So we need to try and get A and B together, and then we can see that first. So right now I've got this here, this A, with B and C. So I want to try and get rid of this C. I'm going to rearrange this so I've got C as a subject, and then I can swap that out. So if I divide both sides by 0.83, I get C is equal to B over 0.83. That's that bit done. So we can put this and we can swap this into here. We're going to swap this C for this. We got A is equal to 22.41 and B plus B over 0.83. Just expand out that bracket. So A is going to be 22.41 times by B plus 22.41B over 0.83, and we can simplify this right hand side. So we've got 20, let's just do it together. So we've got 22.41 plus 22.41 is divided by 0.83, which gives me 49.41. 49.41. Now, a lot of students, they'll just think, oh, this is the answer, and they will choose B. But we've got to remember, this is not in a percentage. We need to multiply it by 100. So then our final answer would be 4941%. So our final answer would be D. Okay, let's go to the next one. You can have a go at this next question. First thing that you're looking for is the percentage change, so you're going to be using that formula again. So from 2012 to 2013, it's a 5% increase, and the manager estimates that it's going to be double the percentage increase from 2013 to 2014. If you've got an answer for this one, you can put it in the chat. Let's see if anyone gets this one. So the tricky bit here is it says from 2012 to 2013 is double the percentage increase from 2013 to 2014. Because this is double, we have to half this. So I think a lot of people would double the 5% and they would increase it by 10%. So we actually have to find 2.5% to get the answer. So I'm going to do 5,880 multiplied by 1.025. Let's see what that gives us. 6027. So B was the correct answer. Well done, Robbie. Go through one more question. So first, write both of your equations out. I can see A is 230% of B, so A would be equal to 2.3 lots of B, and A is also equal to 60% of C. So A is equal to 0.6 C. We can equate these together, so we get 0.6 C is equal to 2.3 B. I'll let you have a think. What does it mean by if C is P% of B? What's the closest value to P? I'm going to make C the subject to answer this one, because we want what percentage is B of C. So I want C as a subject. Solve this, I'm going to do 2.3 B over 0.6, and that would give me 3.83 recurring. And if I multiply that by 100, I get 383. So D would be the correct answer for that one. Right, I'm gonna just explain what I'd like you guys to do for the next lesson. I'm gonna give you a worksheet very similar to this. It won't be on percentages, but I will give you some homework to do on percentages. So if you want to take a look at some more questions like this, you can. So you go through the questions, answer all of the ones that you can. If you can't answer it, then it's okay, no problem. Then I'll give you a link to a form, and you can just click the answers that you don't get correct. So that'll just tell me which questions I need to go through. So rather than spending time on easier ones like number 1, and I think there was another one that we did like this one, instead of spending time on that, we could spend time more on the questions that you find more tricky. That'll be more helpful to you. But I'd definitely have a look through this PDF with the percentage questions. I'll decide what the other topic is tonight or something, or tomorrow, and I'll set you that homework by tomorrow, so you'll get it sent out to you soon. Before I go, does anyone have any questions before I leave? If you don't have any questions, feel free to go, and I'll see you next time.